Imagine your world, your entire reality, just shifting dramatically in what, 15 seconds? What would you even do?
It's hard to picture, isn't it?
Yeah. Our deep dive today is into a truly remarkable story. It's about resilience, recovery, and really the sheer force of the human spirit.
We're taking a close look at the journey of one individual, Aithal, and it's chronicled in his memoir, A Stroke of Luck. It's a really powerful account of navigating a massive stroke and a traumatic brain injury that followed.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to pull out those core insights. How do you navigate these huge, profound life changes? What's the real power of a positive mindset?
And also just the incredible capacity of the human body and mind to adapt, to heal, even when things look, well, pretty much insurmountable.
Exactly. We think we're going to uncover some surprising facts and some deep lessons that go way beyond just the medical details, lessons you might find useful in your own life.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's a Monday morning. Seems ordinary enough. October 23rd, 2000, Southern California. Aithal, he's 36 at the time. He's working on his computer, debugging some program for a client. He's actually just back from Oregon, spent 2 intense weeks there burning the midnight oil.
So he needed a break.
He really did. And then, just like that, the suddenness is what's so striking.
Yeah, tell us about that onset.
He felt this warm sensation, nape of his neck. Then it quickly gets worse, throbbing, buzzing, feeling faint. The room starts spinning.
Wow.
He manages to call out to his wife, no.
Oh.
And she, understandably at first thinks maybe it's just hunger or too much coffee.
Yeah, that makes sense initially.
But then he says these words, and they're slurred, distorted. I think I'm having a stroke.
Chilling. And that's when everything changed.
Instantly. He collapsed. His whole right side just froze up. Couldn't speak. Screaming in pain.
Oh, my goodness.
But here's where the story takes its first kind of turn of fate. The response was incredibly fast. Police, fire engine, ambulances, they were there within, get this, 3 minutes.
3 minutes. That's incredible timing.
It really is. And he himself calls this a stroke of luck, just being where he was when it happened.
That idea, a stroke of luck, based purely on location, it really hits home.
Doesn't it?
It makes you think, what does that tell us about just having access to immediate medical help? Not just for strokes, but anything critical.
Absolutely. If he'd been alone in that motel room in Oregon he was supposed to fly back to,
the outcome could have been completely different. It's a serious reminder for all of us, really, about how critical getting help quickly can be.
For sure. So they get him to the emergency room, and now the doctors face this huge challenge. There's no visible wound, right? It's all internal.
Okay.
So they have to figure out, fast, is this an aneurysm, specifically a pontine AVM, which is like a tangle of blood vessels in the brainstem, or is it a blood clot?
And that distinction is crucial.
Life or death,
Yeah.
basically. Because if it's a ruptured aneurysm and you give blood thinners thinking it's a clot,
It would be catastrophic.
exactly, fatal. So getting that diagnosis right and quickly was everything.
And the eventual diagnosis.
It's a severe brain injury. The prognosis was, well, grim. A 50% chance of survival.
Yeah.
Just 50-50.
Wow. And for his family. His wife, Minu.
Immediate panic.
Yeah.
And then a nurse asks this really alarming question, do you have any relatives nearby? Which was chilling because their nuclear family was in the U.S. Everyone else was back in India.
Oh, man. So that adds another layer of difficulty.
A huge layer. Began this logistical nightmare. His parents, her parents, all rushing from India, having to deal with immigration interrogations when they landed. It just highlights that often invisible burden on the caregivers, doesn't it?
It really does. You focus on the patient, but the support system.
It's just as critical. Supporting the supporters, whether it's family or friends or whoever, it really underscores that resilience is often a collective effort.
That's such a powerful point, the quiet heroism, as you said, of his family. So the immediate crisis passes, but now the real battle begins inside the hospital, relearning life.
Yeah, and initially it was incredibly basic. He couldn't even sit up on his own. He had this constant pounding headache.
And the vision problems.
Severe double vision. So bad they gave him these pirate glasses. Basically glasses with one lens blacked out, just so his brain could process a single image.
Pirate glasses, wow.
Well, his hearing was off. There was a constant buzzing noise. He actually resisted getting hearing aids, felt he was too young for them. And then there was this really strange thing. He couldn't regulate his body temperature on his right side at all.
That's bizarre.
And perhaps the most devastating thing initially was the total loss of speech. The communication barrier was just immense.
He knew what he wanted to say, but couldn't get it out.
Exactly. His mind was working, but the connection to his tongue was just gone. It turned into this frustrating game of charades with his wife.
I can only imagine the frustration and other basic functions too, right? Like eating.
Yeah, huge challenges there. He kept biting his tongue trying to chew, and unexpectedly, drooling became an issue. His wife developed this subtle cue with the tissue to let him know.
These everyday things suddenly become monumental hurdles.
Totally.
Yeah.
Requires so much patience, so much effort. But what's really interesting is his initial mindset.
Right, you mentioned that earlier.
He actually thought, okay, I'll be in a hospital for a few days, a week, tops.
Just completely underestimating the severities.
Completely. He hadn't grasped yet that this wasn't a short detour. It was a life-altering event.
But then he had that internal shift you mentioned.
Yes, and this is such a critical insight from his journey, the power of reframing. He talks about moving from asking, why me, to thinking, why not?
That's a huge mental leap.
It really is. It shows that these profound mindset shifts, moving from feeling like a victim to finding some agency, they're not just possible, they're actually foundational for recovery.
Foundational. That's a great word for it. A lesson you can apply to pretty much any major life challenge, I suppose.
Definitely.
But how hard is that, practically speaking, when you're facing just immense physical obstacles? Did he talk about how he made that pivot?
He credits a lot to the support system, especially his wife, but also just the relentless, consistent therapy, the daily grind of it.
Tell us about the therapy.
It was diverse. He had key people like his physical therapist, Charlie, and occupational therapist, Christy. Charlie introduced something called a gait belt.
A gait belt?
Yeah, basically a safety belt worn around the waist. It allowed the therapist to support him securely as he took those first terrifying steps, preventing falls. It's simple, but ingenious.
Okay, I can picture that, giving him confidence to move.
Exactly. And those first attempts, like just standing up or even trying to shave while standing, he describes them as ruthless exercises, but ultimately they were effective in rebuilding balance and control.
Ruthless but effective. And you mentioned an emotional moment with a computer.
Yeah, he tried to use a computer and it hit him really hard. He realized he felt disabled. For someone whose whole career, whose identity was tied up in technology.
That must have been a profound blow, not just physical, but existential.
Absolutely. A real confrontation with his new reality. And this brings us back to those unsung heroes, his family and friends.
His wife, Minu especially.
She became, as he puts it, his de facto interpreter and guardian angel. She was constantly advocating for him, catching potential medical errors, pushing nurses to get him out of the wheelchair when he was clearly in pain, even if they were hesitant.
That advocacy is so crucial.
It really is. And the friends, too. They set up this relay system, so Minu was never alone in the waiting room during those critical early days.
Wow, that's incredible support.
And she was juggling everything, being a mother, basically being a single parent temporarily, even showing up for their son's soccer practice.
It leads to that really poignant observation he makes.
Yeah. People always sympathize with the person in the wheelchair, but often fail to appreciate the person pushing it. It just perfectly captures the often unseen dedication of caregivers.
So true. Okay, so he's starting to make progress. Moving from the wheelchair, starting to walk with support. What did the therapy look like then?
Occupational therapy involved tasks that sound maybe a bit mundane, but were vital. Potting a plant, trying to fasten buttons, threading beads.
Things we take for granted.
Exactly. All designed to rebuild that crucial muscle memory and fine motor control. He admits they felt tedious at the time.
I bet. And speech therapy.
That focused a lot on slowing down his speech, modulating his voice, because often his brain was still racing ahead of what his tongue could actually produce.
Right, getting the pacing right.
Yeah. And beyond the one-on-one therapy, he found huge value in community resources.
Like support groups.
Yes, places like the Speech and Language Development Center, SLDC. They not only helped him regain his speech, but to get this later on, they actually invited him back to develop software for them.
No way. That's amazing. Talk about full circle.
Isn't it? And he also connected with BRAIN, the Brain Rehabilitation and Injury Network for support groups. Just shows the power of shared experience, community and recovery.
Definitely. And wasn't there some unconventional therapy that really clicked for him?
Yes. Aqua therapy. He talks about this almost like magic, working with Christy and later at Cal State Long Beach in the pool.
What was so special about being in the water?
It helped him overcome that deep-seated fear of falling. For one, it dramatically improved his gait, his walking pattern, and maybe most importantly, it allowed him to experience standing fully erect and making eye contact with people again.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about the eye contact aspect.
He said it was a profound shift for his self-esteem, just feeling that sense of normalcy and dignity returning.
That makes total sense. It shows how regaining even seemingly small physical things can have huge psychological benefits, and finding therapies that really resonate personally.
Exactly. He also had to face some, let's say, less comfortable realities, like visits to the urologist.
Right.
Fortunately, he managed to avoid needing a constant catheter, which was a relief. But he still had issues, occasional painful voiding, as he terms it.
It's a reminder of the less visible, ongoing challenges.
For sure. And then there's that surprising comment from the doctors.
The one about his age.
Yeah, telling him that being in his 30s was actually the right age for a stroke. He was understandably pretty angry when he first heard that.
I would be too. What was their reasoning?
It was about the body's capacity for recovery at that age. Greater neuroplasticity, basically. The brain's ability to build new neural pathways to rewire itself is stronger than when you're older.
Okay, so it's an unexpected perspective on brain science, but it also touches on the after effects of the TBI, the traumatic brain injury component, right? Like mood swings.
Yes, the doctors specifically warned his wife to expect things like anger, irritability, mood swings. It's a common consequence of TBI.
That raises a good point about managing expectations, not just for the person recovering, but for the caregivers supporting them through that emotional roller coaster.
Absolutely. And speaking of unexpected things, there was actually an unforeseen benefit from the stroke.
A benefit?
Yeah, forced him to quit smoking. He'd been a smoker for 24 years.
Ah, okay. Cold turkey in the hospital.
Exactly. Couldn't smoke there. And the doctors debated whether smoking had actually caused the stroke, but regardless of the cause, quitting had positive effects. He noticed improved energy, better breathing, his senses felt sharper.
So a silver lining, in a way.
A definite silver lining. Now, as he progressed, that desire to go home became really intense.
I can imagine.
It actually led to a bit of a mental slump, feeling stuck. But then came this amazing surprise. The hospital granted him a day pass.
Oh, the day pass. Freedom.
Totally. He describes the drive home, slow, deliberate, taking local streets, seeing familiar shops and places, but seeing them completely anew, like a dream.
Surreal experience.
Very. And he noticed how his family had already adapted the house. His son's playroom on the first floor had been quietly converted into his bedroom for accessibility.
Wow, that foresight.
Yeah, something he never imagined needing for himself. But the day pass was bittersweet too. Saying goodbye to his family that evening, returning to the hospital. That was tough.
That push and pull between wanting home and needing care.
Exactly. Then his occupational therapist, Carla, came up with this brilliant real-world exercise.
What was it?
An ice cream shop visit. It sounds simple, but it was carefully planned. The goal was to boost his confidence using his communication skills in public, navigating a real environment.
Taking the therapy skills out into the wild, basically.
Precisely. And he had this realization that all those exercises in the hospital, the ones that felt maybe boring or frustrating or just annoying,
Yeah.
they all had a purpose. They were crucial preparation for exactly this kind of real-world application, for regaining independence.
That's a great takeaway. The mundane tasks have a critical point. It's about rebuilding confidence and practical skills for life outside that structured rehab setting, getting ready for the messy unpredictability of everyday life.
Couldn't have said it better. And that leads us nicely into the next big hurdle, reclaiming independence, particularly driving.
Ah, the driving license. That's huge for independence.
Absolutely. The DMV had automatically suspended his license after the stroke, which is standard procedure. But for him, getting it back became this symbol, the ultimate expression of freedom.
So how did that go? Was it straightforward?
Not at all. The driving test itself was challenging. He actually failed the freeway merge part because his reflexes were still a bit slow.
Oh, no.
And then he received this devastating letter, official, stating his license was revoked. He said it felt like a prison sentence, just a massive blow to his autonomy.
I can only imagine how crushing that must have felt after all the progress he'd made.
Totally. But again, his wife, Manu, was instrumental. She found a way to appeal the decision.
Okay, so there was an appeal process.
Yes. He went back to the DMV, met with an official named Sandy. And she was looking at his medical file, sounding skeptical about his memory, saying the file indicated memory could be affected.
Right.
But Aithal, sharp as ever, corrected her immediately. He said, "It says could, not will."
Nice. Standing up for himself.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That confidence in his own mental state must have impressed her, because it led to him being allowed to take the written test on the spot.
Man.
Passed it. Perfect score.
Fantastic. So written test passed. What next?
The next step was a requirement to attend a specialized driving school, one attached to a hospital. La Palma Hospital Driving School.
Okay, specialized training.
Yeah, he admits the word retraining kind of stung initially, felt a bit infantilizing.
I could see that.
But he went through with it, worked with an instructor named Tom. He even refused the offer of a specialized knob for the steering wheel, determined to regain full control without adaptations. And eventually, he succeeded. He passed the driving part.
That is a huge victory.
Immense. The boost in confidence after getting his license back was profound. Suddenly, he could drive himself to the beach, visit friends, even rent cars when traveling abroad later on. It just had this massive ripple effect on his daily life, his sense of normalcy.
It really symbolizes reclaiming your life on your own terms.
It does. But even with that freedom, there was this nagging fear underneath it all.
The fear of another stroke.
Exactly. That persistent worry, which led his doctor, Dr. Adams, to recommend something called stereotactic surgery.
Stereotactic surgery, what does that involve?
It was done at UCLA Medical Center. They described it as non-invasive, meaning no large incisions, and it was an outpatient procedure.
Okay, that sounds less daunting than open brain surgery.
Right. It was a multi-stage process, though. First, they fitted this metal frame to his skull using medical screws. Sounds intense, I know.
Yeah, bet.
Then, a CT angiogram, where they inject a special dye to get detailed images of his blood vessels. And then the actual procedure involved guiding a miniaturized camera, usually up through an artery in the groin, to the aneurysm site in the brainstem to treat it.
Wow. Advanced stuff. And did it work? Did it ease the fear?
Well, here's another unexpected twist in the story. About a year after that first procedure, he went for a routine follow-up scan. They found 2 more aneurysms.
Some more. Had they missed them before?
Apparently not. The doctors believe these were newly developed or had grown significantly since the last scan. So a whole new challenge presented itself.
Oh my goodness. After everything he'd been through, what did they decide to do? Another surgery.
The medical team actually decided against immediate surgery this time. They opted for monitoring instead regular closed MRI scans every 6 months.
Okay, so watchful waiting.
Essentially, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was considered safer than undergoing another procedure, especially given the location. He had to accept this new reality of long-term management.
Which must have been difficult, especially with the ongoing fear.
Very difficult. And complicated by the fact that he suffered from severe claustrophobia, so those regular MRIs required him to take Xanax just to get through them.
Just another hurdle to manage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really underscores the ongoing nature of dealing with conditions like this. Resilience isn't just about the acute recovery. It's about adapting to long-term health management, accepting new realities, and finding ways to cope year after year.
That's a really important point. It's not a one-and-done recovery. So all these experiences, they seem to culminate in a really profound philosophy of resilience for him, like a mind-over-matter approach.
Very much so. And he shares it. When he meets other stroke survivors, he doesn't offer sympathy. He offers encouragement. He tells them, drawing from his own experience, keep it up. Never give up. Never.
He feels that shared experience gives the words more weight.
Precisely. He truly believes words from someone who's actually been there resonate differently.
And he really emphasizes the mental game, right? The positive mindset. How did he actually cultivate that day to day?
He talks about actively diverting his mind. When negative thoughts crept in, he'd focus on other tasks. And crucially, setting small, achievable goals each day, creating mental checklists for daily accomplishments, no matter how tiny they seemed.
Breaking it down into manageable steps.
Exactly. His personal mantra became, keep trying, never give up. That was his guiding star. And that's such a powerful lesson for anyone facing a big challenge, isn't it? Focus on the small wins, maintain that forward momentum.
Absolutely. And technology played a surprising role, too.
Yeah, he calls the internet, Google, YouTube, his savior. It became his window to the world when he couldn't easily get out. And importantly, it allowed him to re-educate himself, specifically learning web development.
Wow. Teaching himself new skills during recovery.
Yeah, embracing change, embracing the unknown, which feels especially relevant today, with the constant flood of information and sometimes misinformation online. It speaks volumes about self-directed learning and adapting your skills.
That's really inspiring. He also talks about the rhythm of life being disturbed.
Yes, that's a key concept for him. A stroke disrupts your natural rhythm, making even the most mundane tasks feel monumental. It gave him this hyper-awareness of his surroundings and his communication challenges.
Learning to speak slowly, clearly.
Right, and his daughter apparently had this frequent reminder for him. Context, Dad, context.
Huh.
Kids keep you honest, don't they? It became this running reminder about ensuring his message got across clearly, making sure people understood where he was coming from, even if he had to speak more deliberately. It's about shared understanding.
That makes sense. And for you, the listener, what does this boil down to? He emphasizes celebrating milestones, right?
Absolutely, big or small. He gives examples like being there for his daughter's Samarpan, that's an Indian classical dance debut performance, or celebrating his 25th wedding anniversary with a big party.
Just being present for those moments felt like a victory.
A huge victory, given everything. He even channeled his new web skills into creating a family website, calling it a time capsule for posterity, but also it was a learning process for him.
Turning challenges into creative outlets.
Exactly. And this ties into his broader philosophy. Health is wealth.
Yeah.
Really investing in your body for the long haul, even if the activities like going to the gym regularly feel mundane sometimes.
Right. You mentioned the nurse's comment.
Yeah, the nurse calling him the fittest sick person she knew because his resting heart rate was so low from his consistent gym visits, even amidst all his health issues.
It really underscores that connection, consistent physical effort fuels mental resilience. Taking care of your body pays dividends you might not even expect.
It's an investment. So now, looking back, it's been 24 years since the stroke.
24 years. A long journey.
Incredibly long, arduous, as he says,
Yeah.
but ultimately rewarding. He talks about accepting his limitations now, but focusing on his strengths, marveling at the body's capacity to heal, the brain's ability to learn and adapt.
And he has that great analogy.
The cricketing one. Yeah, he says, I'm not out, just retired hurt. It's playful, but it captures that sense of acceptance and continued engagement with life.
I love that. Retired hurt. So ultimately, what's the core message he wants people to take away?
It boils down to a fundamental choice, really. You can feel sorry for yourself, or you can choose to do something about it. He champions self-help, patience, perseverance, and finding your passion.
That transformation from I can't to I can.
Exactly. And he's clear, his intention isn't to give some rah-rah motivational speech. It's simply to share his story, his experience, hoping it might inspire others by showing what's possible, even after something devastating.
Well, we've certainly navigated a deeply personal and inspiring story today. It's a real testament to human will, isn't it? And that quiet heroism of everyday resilience.
Definitely. This deep dive really shows how a major life interruption, something that seems purely negative, can, with the right attitude, the right support, actually transform into what he calls a stroke of luck.
It's an amazing reframe, and Aithal talks so much about the body's ability to heal, the brain's almost infinite capacity to learn, even after severe trauma.
Yeah, his core advice seems to be constantly think about what you can do, rather than getting stuck on what you can't. Focus on your strengths, your possibilities.
So for you listening, maybe take a moment to reflect on your own life. What hidden capacities, what untapped strengths might you be underestimating right now?
That's a great question. Is there some impossible task or challenge in your life that maybe, just maybe, you could start tackling?
Yeah, perhaps just by shifting your attitude slightly, taking that crucial first step, thinking about your own rhythm of life and how you can nurture your own resilience, whether you're facing huge challenges or just, the daily frustrations we all deal with.